Hi there, this is Justin Krane, certified financial planner professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is Justin Krane, producer, runner of the show Money You Got This. This show is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. I'm Justin Krane. I'm a certified financial planner professional. I offer investment management services and act as a fractional CFO to dentists and business owners. I'm the author of the book, Money You Got This. It's time, guys. It's time to merge your money with your life. You guys ready? I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. We got someone good. And if you've ever heard that expression, that's nacho cheese, let me tell you something. This guy is nacho cheese. He's the real deal. Today's guest is Dr. Paul Goodman. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me on, Justin.
Cool. Yeah. So let me tell everybody about you. You're a dentist. You're from Philly. My wife's from Philly. I mean,
oh, nice. Yeah.
Right there.
I like her already.
Yes. You've helped over 100 dentists place their first implant. You've bought 3 dental practices.
With the writing of bios in this world, the updates, there's probably a lot more than that. That's really I do a variety of things in the dentisting space, as I call you, from being a dentist, running a circus, practice, transitions and implant placement. So glad to dig into those nacho toppings, but helping dentists learn to place their first implants is one of my favorite things to do.
How come?
Because I just think that your first, my first of everything, driving a car, school days, things like that are just such important milestones in our life. And they come with a lot of apprehension, but we know what's on the other side is good. And you just need someone to guide you through that and get you over that hump. And then, after that, maybe you go on to place thousands of implants. Maybe it's not your thing and you just want to talk to patients about it. Maybe you do a few. But I know that step's so important. And general dentist, I'm a 41-year-old dentist, so I call myself a medium-age dentist, which stands for MAD. It's kind of how I feel sometimes. But I know that when I started, it was very unusual for general dentists to place implants. There wasn't a lot of training for it, so I've worked with companies that have supported that. I run my own courses, so I'm a big inclusive person. So I just love that dentists can help their patients with it, learn something more for themselves, be more productive so they can invest more, all those types of things.
I love it. So you run Dental Nachos, right? It's a continuing ed and practice management for dentists. So you get out of dental school, you become a dentist, and you do that for how long?
So it's interesting. I did a multi-year general practice residency. When you get out of dental school, I opted for my dad for 11 years. Awesome. I work with my brother. Now, my dad unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but awesome dad. He did the Air Force for 2 years, and he had a practice. I could have just joined him and his partner, but he's like, you don't want to do that. He's like, you want to get some experience, not here, for a couple reasons. He said, she's just an awesome dad, an awesome mentor, because he said, I know what I know. I'm a good dentist, but I can't teach you everything. And what's also something, I don't know, one of the things I love to do in life is I love to eat out at restaurants. And I was a server for 10 years. And I was always the server that would train the other servers. So have you ever seen when a server comes up and they got a little friend next to them?
It's the I formation.
Yes. And when you're a customer, even me now, I think some people think, oh, geez, they got the new guy. But you should be happy because the person who's with the new guy is their favorite guy, right? Or favorite girl. And I was that person a lot because I loved it. I loved teaching and things like that. So my dad was like, hey, do a general practice residency, then join us. I chose one Albert Einstein in Philadelphia, which taught dentists how to place implants, which was very unusual back then. And they had a chief residency program. So I stayed for a second year, and then I loved it so much. I loved being part of the hospital. I love running a team. I love working with different specialists. I stayed as a hospital fellow where I worked part in my dad's office and part at the hospital doing implant cases. So that was my post-dental school life, was a 3-year multi-practice, a 3-year multi-year GPR for 3 years. Then I went into private practice with my dad and his partner.
So, well, let me just ask you this, because like I lost my father a year ago and I can relate. It's, how was that for you, and how do you carry on his legacy in both in life with your kids and dentistry?
It's difficult, like life transitions are. I mean, when these things happen, now a few years removed, I try to think broad picture. And the reason why it's so upsetting is because you were so lucky to begin with, and you had these opportunities that sometimes other people don't get. And, I got to work with my dad side by side for 11 years, but it was a huge challenge personally and professionally. I mean, just to share with your listeners, the coolest part of working with your dad and brother and having 2 practices as a son and dad were awesome, but we were also business partners. So I said this to a lot of people afterwards. If my dad was just someone named Joe Smith, who was a dentist, just that part of him not being there would be a huge thing to deal with, because everyone in the practice knew him. He was working full time. Who do you get to replace him? So it was a huge challenge that we've gotten through. We've had some awesome associates. The practice is in a small town in Pennington. My dad was the classic, he was there from age 28 to 68, and as long as I was alive. And he was the dentist who coached the sports teams. Everybody knew him, which was awesome, but also the whole town was devastated. It kind of like this, old-fashioned way. But it really, looking at it, was a great community, is a great community, bonded with us. And, I know, you're going through the same thing. It's not an easy part of the circle of life.
Very hard. Very hard. Talk to me about, so you're now in private practice, and at some point you decide to start dental nachos.
Well, it's funny. I'm glad you asked me this, and I'm going to use this for my own dental nachos team. So I'm wearing a dental nachos t-shirt. When I started dental nachos, I had no idea I would ever be wearing a dental nachos t-shirt, or someone named Ariel would be working with me. So just to share this origin story, in 2016, early 2017, there were some Facebook groups for dentists. It was a totally new thing. It was like a hangout session on these groups. Prior to that, in Philadelphia, I would run study clubs, teach implant courses. I say this on podcasts just so I started a study club in 2005 called the Rising Dentist Study Club. And the mission statement was, if we all get together when we're young, we won't hate each other when we're older. It totally was the mission. But it was the olden days. It was just in Philadelphia. There's no Facebook. There was no testing. I had texting. I had to send the Pony Express with the invites to the courses. So I've been running a version of Dental Nachos my whole life. When I put it on Facebook, I said to Mary, Mrs. Nacho, she loves that name. It was her whole dream to be called Mrs. Nacho. So dreams do come true. I wanted to play in the NBA. Didn't come true. But I said to her, what should I call it? I love Mexican food. I worked as a Mexican restaurant. I go to Elvez in Philadelphia. I said, okay, I'm a speaker. I'm a broker. I run practices. I kind of like nacho toppings. And I just call it Dental Nachos.
I love it.
And the idea was, it was all these different things, people to get together, but it started out with, let's talk about practice management and implants, right? Like 2 of my favorite things. And I think, like most things, it was like a happy accident, like Bob Ross says. So Facebook, it was called Dental Nachos, and people were joining it who were dentists, but I think they thought it was to post pictures of the nachos they were eating. Which I was like, hey guys, it's not really that. But then when they were posting it,
why not?
It's like a golden retriever puppy of food. Yeah. Everybody loves it. So they were getting so excited. People said, those are great nachos. And I just want to tell a funny story because it's really hilarious. So I was running this group, and most of the people in the beginning, they just knew me, right? From real Facebook friends. So it was like 500 people, not 16,000. So these people would join it, and then they would be posting pictures of nachos. But my phone, people would text me, and they go, hey, Paul. I would get a phone. I'll be with my child. I get a picture. I go, oh, this is nachos. It's like my friend, Joe. They go, I just want to let you know I'm eating nachos, but I don't think they're worthy of posting on the group.
You can't go anywhere.
You go, there's no qualifications. You could post them on the group. So I think in a happy accident, Bob Ross way, I chose something in a very genuine, authentic way to me that was just very positive and very fun. And yes, I do get a few people who don't love me as much as my grandmother did. She would not like these people, Justin. She would be very upset if she was here to hear what they say, that think it's corny or dorky, but the most people kind of just enjoy that fun part because life needs a little more fun to it.
I love it. So there's so many groups and coaching companies and programs that coach dentists. How do you separate yourself? Do you even think about that, or do you just run your show and
I didn't think about it initially because I was just being me. Dental Knots is an extension of me. And I growing the group, it got, I never imagined it'd be 16,000 people. And there's bigger Facebook groups. And this isn't really just to be a compliment to me, but about a year and a half ago, someone who was on Dental Nachos, who's a marketer, great guy, he flew up to Philadelphia to meet me. He's like, I want to meet you. And I'm like, my wife's like, I don't think you should let this guy meet you. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? We'll meet. And he was a good guy, but he was just like, I want to meet you. I've never seen someone do what you do. And I was like, what's that? He goes, I've never seen someone do this on the Facebook groups. And I still didn't know what he was talking about. And when he came to Philadelphia, he said, I've run Facebook groups and I tried to resurrect this Facebook group. And when you're an admin of a Facebook group, you can tell how engaged the audience is, right?
Sure.
It can tell you how often they look. So even though my group might not have the largest number, he was like, and I didn't know this till I met him. I thought this was just how the groups were. He's like, man, your group is so engaged. They're posting, the percentage of engagement is high. And that was, I guess, how I separate myself is that I talk a lot, I think a lot, I use it like my journal. So people say, why are you always posting on nachos? It's funny, Justin, I mean, we're probably close to age. Like, if I was sitting at Rittenhouse Square writing in a leather-bound journal, trying to write the next American novel, people would be like, look at that guy. He has really got it going on, right? But if I'm on Facebook posting my thoughts about dentistry, people are saying, why are you always doing that? Or, why aren't you seeing patients instead? But I mean, between you and I and all your listeners and anyone else who wants to know, I've always just thought of it as my own personal journal. I used to have journals when I was younger because I like to record thoughts. And then now you can get feedback on your thoughts and ideas. Yeah. And that was kind of, when you asked about the distinguishing myself, I didn't really utilize it initially as a way other than a dentist hangout session. So the way I describe it now is like that Rittenhouse Square Park. What it's become, Dental Nachos is a park. It's totally free. Anyone can join. When you join, you have to follow the guidelines. Don't attack people. You can challenge their ideas. Just be nice to people. Doesn't mean agree with everybody. Just means you could disagree without being disagreeable. And everything that you want to partake on it is free. We have Facebook Lives. We have resources.
Yeah.
Have sponsors. We do have sponsors. Dentists, for some reason, they get upset. Like, why are you trying to sell me something? I'm like, well, I'm trying to sell you an umbrella because it's raining, right? Like, you could just walk out in the rain, but maybe you want to get, some disability insurance, right? So I've gotten through that part in Dental Nachos. But then I have other things like the CE or the brokerage or the buyer coaching, where if people want to partake of a service, they can. And it's worked out pretty well.
Well, it seems like what you're doing is you ran with an idea. You weren't afraid to continue running with it. You got some response, you iterated, and you kept going. And the next thing you know, you've got 16,000 people eating nachos with you.
Yeah, I mean, I always, I'm not really I'm a very enthusiastic person, but I'm not a super dramatic person. I'm not the kind of person who never gets too high or too low, not bragging, it's just how I am. It doesn't mean I don't get overly exasperated because Ariel's here and she'll be like, you're lying to the podcast audience. But I mean, I'm just not like I like good ideas. I like people. And probably one day the 16,000 might look small, or maybe I'm going to leave Facebook and go on to Snapagram, and I'm willing to deal with either.
I think a fair, maybe I'm wrong on this, but my vibe is that a lot of the community, or at least the people that you're speaking to, are newer dentists, right? Younger dentists that are either coming out of school, becoming an associate, maybe starting their own practice. Is that right?
I'm so glad you said this, because people get their calling cards, and maybe this even happens in your industry, and it's not a bad thing. Or they get their signature, right? Oh, you're a disability insurance agent. But meanwhile, the person sells all kinds of stuff, and they want to say, stop calling me the disability insurance guy. I got these other things. So I have this signature with these young dentists, but maybe because I really care so much about their future. And the other part is, it's two things. Young dentists need a lot of help, but two, they're most knowledgeable about social media. So I will tell you that there are dentists who are 50 years old that spend just as much time on dental nachos as a 25-year-old dentist, but they're not comfortable posting. They're not comfortable liking. I mean, I'll go to a convention. It was great. I went to Greater New York meeting. I mean, it's like, I'm like an indie band. Like some people come by and they're like, where's Paul? I got to meet him. And the other people come by like, what is this dumb name, right? So it was very funny. But there are people who came by in Greater New York, Justin, who said, I love dental nachos. I am on there every day. I read everything. And you know, awesome. You ever meet people in my mind, I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. Yeah. And I go, that's awesome. Like, who are you? And they go, oh, I never post anything. Or they go, I never comment.
They're lurkers.
Yeah, because and that's what I really am trying to, I don't know what it is, push past this and get people to post and out of their comfort zone and protect them and say, hey, this isn't like other groups where people are going to tear you ground, not saying anything disparaging about other groups, but I just try really hard to create an environment where people feel comfortable sharing and having their ideas challenged, but not them attacked as a person.
Yeah. So I want to talk about learning, because you've talked a lot about this. You have a lot of opinions on learning. I think you're never too old to learn, and it's a whole process. So what do you think is the best way for people to actually learn new stuff, implement it, and keep going?
I love this question, and if you or your listeners are listening, Lincoln Harris is a dentist in Australia who's amazing. He has a 70,000 member Facebook group called RIPE. He came to Philadelphia. We got to hang out and have margaritas. I showed him all this history. And we were talking, and I said, Lincoln, it's hard to run a group. It's like, people get mad at me. They do this. He's like, you got 8,000 people. I got 70,000. And he runs courses too. And he said, running these courses and teaching people to learn things is not easy. I don't know if he has his pilot's license, but he took flying lessons. He goes, when you take flying lessons, they put you in a simulator and they say, just try it. And obviously they know you're not going to crash, but they don't give you a book. And the way dental school teaches is not effective. It does not promote creativity. It doesn't promote confidence. It promotes weirdness. It'd be like if you were going to go on a date, they would give you studies about dating from the 1950s. They would put you in a classroom and talk to you 8 hours about what to say on the date, even though you don't know what the person's going to say. So I'm just sort of like, hey, test this out in a safe way, whether it's talking to patients. Go say these 5 things, report back to me. I really believe we need more building blocks, more, I never did karate, but more level 1, 2, 3, 4 stuff. So I think the best way for dentists is to find a responsible way to incorporate it into their lives. And that goes the same for what you do, Justin, with investing. There's a good group out there, the dental investment group. I'm friends with Sonny, but sometimes it's like, I want to be like, everyone's giving each other terrible advice. Like you need a professional. So it's like, don't take all your money and put it in Robot Butcher. That's a Seinfeld joke. But maybe think about a 401k for your office or a Roth IRA. So that's kind of my take on it.
I'm in there. I picked my spots in there. I mean, they were like, but so what do you do with someone when they're learning and they fail or they make a mistake? What do you tell someone?
First, I always tell people nothing ever goes wrong. It just goes off script. So a lot of things go off script. It's a good patient term. It doesn't go wrong. It goes off script. I tell them that we were just much better when we were younger with learning to walk and run. I mean, one of my classic. So they need an emoji on Facebook, Justin. I'll probably read that laugh cry, right? Because it's got to be both. It's got to be. Can we write to Zuckerberg about the laugh cry emoji? Because I'll say this: if a dental school instructor I have an 11-month-old, Drew. She's a giant child. They're very cute. She's trying to learn to walk, and we're helping her. If she was taught by a dental school instructor, she would take her hands off the couch, go to walk, fall down, and a dental school instructor would say, that's not right. You're never going to get it. Why you do it? It would make her never want to get up. And I just despise that. So when people fail or things go sideways, be there to help them out. Now, if Drew said, I'm going to walk from here to the Liberty Bell, I'd say that's not a good idea. You're setting yourself up for something going wrong. So it's not for me. People have given me this feedback, Justin, that I want just to be nice. I don't want to be nice at the sake of bad patient outcomes or bad financial outcomes or bad systems. I just want us to be supportive of each other and trying new things, because we were all that way in life sometimes.
Amen, brother. So I want to switch gears to the whole topic of investing in yourself, whether that's CE, more learning, consulting, coaching, whatever. I just, my read is that, because I'm a money guy, and sometimes people think that when they're trying to be better and invest, they actually view it in themselves. They're actually viewing it as an expense and not as an investment.
Totally.
And I've seen you talk a little bit about the fact that, especially the newer dentists and associates, they need to invest way more in themselves and they need to run with it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I mean, it's a great question. And I've been this way. It's happened to me in life. I mean, when you have to spend the money and time and energy doing something, it's usually when you don't have the money. You usually actually have the time and you usually have the energy, but you don't have the money. I'll use just a classic example of taking an implant course. You take an implant course and it's a $10,000 expense with everything involved. And you're a young dentist and you don't have $10,000. But I will tell you, way before Dr. Nacho, I had my own personal friends take a $10,000 implant course and within 5 or 6 years had produced $1 million more, right? Because what they learned at that one course, just like a mutual fund, had returned this money to them. Now, dentists will say to you, how do you know that's going to happen? And you like it's one of the famous lines, like, whatever, past performance is not indicative.
Yeah.
But one of the messages I would give to your listeners and what I give to dentists is live your life in the most. I say this all the time. Most dentists who take a $10,000 implant course are going to get an excellent ROI over 5 years. They're going to learn how to talk to the patient. They're going to learn how to incorporate it. And that $10,000 is going to look like a small investment. And if you don't believe me, ask these people who've done it. The problem with dentistry is there's not enough connectivity. There's not enough people hanging around a bar type place or a coffee shop saying, oh yeah, I took this implant course with someone in Texas, doesn't be mine. And when I went back to my office, it was amazing. I started doing more cases. And when you talk to someone who's been successful, and this is something out of your life, they always say they wish they did it sooner, right?
Of course.
So go on Facebook and don't have confirmation bias. This is dentists. It's like, I do this new dance boost camp thing. I love it. I mean, I started doing it last year, and I'll say at a lecture, you should take the new dance boost camp. It's $2,500. It's going to make you a better dentist. You should do it. And they say, I don't know if I want to do it. I say, okay, do you want to talk to 5 dentists who've done it and liked it? And then that helps them, right? But on Facebook, if they're on Facebook, this is what they say. I want to take a sleep apnea course, but it's too expensive. I don't know if it's going to work. 10 dentists say it's great. 1 random dentist says it doesn't work. And you know what they say? Oh, that's the guy who's right. Because our brains are taught to be so negative in dental school. And it just really bothers me, Justin, that's what we do to young people. We run them through dental school and we hamper their creativity. We decrease their positivity. And then we say, go do one of the hardest jobs on earth for the next 40 years.
Yeah. I think you're talking about prosperity thinking versus poverty thinking. And your frame of reference of, okay, if you have this belief that you think something's not going to work out and you're looking for validation, you might go down that road.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to understand that if you put some cash out, just like in any business, the timing of the cash flows coming back is important. And as long as you feel like you can get a good ROI and you see these people and they can validate that it's work, you have to believe that you can create and manifest the kind of life and returns that you want through whatever investment you're making.
And I love that. I'll give you something, and you could use this if it helps you in any way. So when I did the GPR residents, I lectured to them weekly, and I encouraged them to get a Roth IRA. I'm not an investment expert, but I just encouraged them to do one step that was a good idea. This is like 2005, by the way, right? And the way I talk to patients and get case acceptance is not to say an implant's the best, you're going to chew. I learned this from John Coyce. I always start out with, here's what happens if you do nothing. So I give this good thing to the resident. I go, get a Roth IRA. You're going to save money. You're going to have money for retirement. Everyone has a Roth IRA. You should get a Roth IRA. I go, does that make you want to get a Roth IRA? And they go, no. I go, okay, how about this? Have you heard of a Roth IRA? No, I have not. If you don't get a Roth IRA now, you may live in a cardboard box when you're 75. And then they say, I'd like to know more about it. So I've started more with what happens if you do nothing? What happens if you don't invest? What happens if you don't start a 401k? And it's not even, I mean, your world is money. So I know that's, but like for dental CE, Justin, a lot of it's about the dentist happiness. It's a lot about their fulfillment going to work. I mean, it's not just about, I mean, when you're in your 40s, I mean, if any 40-year-old tells you, like, I don't know really how much money I have, right? Like, and I say it as a joke, like I go to work, I put out all kinds of, what is that?
$1 million.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. If your clients who are my age, they go to work. I got 2 practices. I got 20 team members. I'm running around. I'm paying bills. I'm getting some money. And I say that in actually a positive way, meaning like, but if I went to work and had to do procedures that I hated all the time versus procedures I like for the same amount of money, that first way is going to really be miserable. So like, there's that part too.
Yeah. Awesome. One last question is general, because, I work both with the business numbers and the personal money. And because I always believe that in business, the success that your business has is going to fund your personal goals. So I'm curious, from your perspective, running 2 practices, having a coaching company, working with your father, being around the block, what do you think is like a really, really good, smart money move for a dentist, not right out of school, but like either an associate or they're starting their own practice and they're running it? What's a smart money move that you think a dentist could make?
I love the question. The smartest money move, I believe a dentist in this 2 to 5 years out of school, what I call a toddler age dentist could make, is to look to put themselves in an environment where they have a top chef or a really good chef working with them, whether that's an associate. Our life is really long. Seinfeld said, life is long. We have people on cruise ships trying to kill it off doing crossword puzzles, an old joke. So, I love that. And, obviously we have these things happen in our personal lives. It doesn't feel long, but if you think about the most dentist career of 30 years and you're 2 to 5 years out, go to your favorite restaurant and talk to the chef and say, how did you learn to be a chef? And they're going to tell you the story about how they worked for a Justin who was a mentor, and maybe they didn't make as much. I'm just going to use an example. You make $140,000 doing that versus $250 running a practice. But that person who puts that time in learns things that maybe allows them to make $400,000 a year for the rest of their life and be happy. So the best money move I can encourage them is to not get too caught up in the loans. I know it's important, and to look to put yourself in an environment where you can learn in a meaningful way from a top chef or good dentist, so that when you buy a practice, you can replicate that. And I'm sure you were just on vacation at great restaurants and Philly, and this is how the restaurant world works all the time because it's so competitive.
Yeah.
Nobody runs out and just opens up a restaurant because they're a good cook, because it goes out of business. They got to work for somebody else and learn the ropes. So that's the best money move. And during that time, Justin, this is my other one. When you're young, take as much C as possible because you have the time. You might not have kids. You might not be married. So use that life flexibility to learn skills that you can use when you're 40 or 50.
This is great. Well, I hope everyone listening gets a lot out of your advice, your counsel. It's great stuff. Everybody, let's get a URL, a website where we can send people to. Where if they want more info on you.
Dentalnachos.com is the best one to see the whole plate. It's got our courses. It's got coaching options. Has fun stuff. I do some things on how to find a job, some blogs. So dentalnachos.com is definitely the best way. And Paul at dentalnachos.com if they want to reach out to me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's great to have you.
Oh, my pleasure. It's really great that you do this, Justin, and your audience is lucky that you take the time and energy to bring this to them, because it's just for people to be able to drive in their car, work out at the gym, sit around and hear this is just awesome. So I really appreciate you having me on.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.